Hi everyone. Being in the music and entertainment industry for almost 40 years is quite an accomplishment, which comes with lots of stories and memories. My name is Christopher Aird. Welcome to Seasons of Music. Hi everyone, welcome. In this episode, we'll be doing things a little different. Our producers asked us to change it up a little bit. So I'll be introducing our guest host, which will be Corrine Fergusson. Hi, Corrine.
Hello, Chris.
And with a very special guest, who will be me. So, Corrine, I hand it all to you.
Thank you very much. You may have thought that I was going to be the host, and I am going to be the host. So actually the guest. But
Oh, yes.
You are the guest because we specifically asked for this because, Chris, I am sure you have a lot of stories to tell us because you have been a singer for how long?
Almost 40 years, yeah.
40 years. Now, when did you start then? Because you look
Well,
like
then
40.
No, well, actually,
So-
it's longer than 40 because I started actually right here in Maria Regina Grade School, where it all started for me. We used to have every year, there was each house in those days there was a singing competition. And so each house had a choir. So I was part of the choir. And eventually, I guess, they heard my potential. There was a play we did called Pinocchio, and I had the lead in that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think from then, it just moved. And the school decided to enter me into music festival, which is the under 13 boys, My parents didn't even know I could sing, but I said, yeah, okay, good. And I ended up winning boys vocal solo under 13. And I think from then it just kind of moved from there, I was on the 12 and under circuit at one time. I did a few of those, and it just grew from there.
Do you remember any of the songs from your childhood?
Yeah, I do. Like one of the songs, I can sing it for you, was for the boys vocal solo, was Sailing. But I did want, like my first appearance on 12 and under was, my father had a lot of Venezuelan friends. He was into Spanish. And one of the ladies played cuatro, and he decided to send my sister and I. We both lived on Maraval Road next door to TTT, so that was like a normal place for us to go. And they sent us up to sing, and we sang a Spanish song, Mi limonedo. I can't remember the rest of the words, but one of us sang it, and it was just so funny about it. But we didn't get very far, but I was always around that type of entertainment, Being in TTT, I used to go walk across there, sit down, watch TV. So I've always been interested in television. Never pursued it seriously. So from then on, and then there was the 12 and under circuit, and then Teen Talent. Sandra Hamilton was the one year. She said, hey, if you want to go up for Teen Talent, I'll play for you. And I sang. I don't recall some of the songs I sang, but there were a few songs, very interesting and very uplifting,
So what about voice training? Did you get voice training professionally or officially, or was it all self-taught?
Well, not self-taught, because from primary school in Maria Regina, there were singing teachers. And training for music festival, you had to be trained by a proper teacher. And then there was Sister Helen, who was the choir mistress in Synod Convent at the time, and she would come across and would give tips. So in that type of training, and then when I went into Fatima College, I was also part of the choir, maybe the first year or so, because in those days it was taboo to be in the choir, boys' choir. Now it's easy, and boys embrace it. But,
Not really.
Not really. But Maurice Brash was also, I was under his wing in terms of training in Fatima. Went for one music festival. Wasn't as successful as in Maria Regina, but I just grew part of it. I was even in the Calypso competition in the Form 1. They said, why don't you go up to present? And my sister had a Calypso, and I decided to sing it. And I was the first Form 1 at the time ever to win calypso competition in Fatima. So it was a great accomplishment. So people knew me from singing calypso there, you know. So it just kind of moved on to other things, you know.
Which do you prefer, singing with a choir or singing solo?
That's a good question. Being a solo artist is quite different because you have a lot more control for yourself. In terms of rehearsals, I could rehearse on my own. I even shy away singing sometimes with duets when I'm doing at weddings or at tea parties because I can just rehearse on my own. I will be driving to work and I'm rehearsing, you know, so I don't have to have the time to meet with somebody else because I'm so busy between singing and I play hockey and I'm now in the gym. It's easier for me to just sing on my own. It's not that I don't like singing a choir. I love singing a choir because I've been in the Love Movement for almost 40 years too. Being in a group and in a community is second to none. You know, yes, you could be a soloist. Yes, you could do those things. But when you have a group with you and friends that you form out of it, it's quite different. Like I wouldn't play an individual sport. I prefer to play a team sport. That's just how I grew up.
Did the hockey and the singing ever clash?
Oh yeah, yeah. They both clashed a lot. Because I remember the early days when I was playing what you call championship hockey, and you were on the main team. Sometimes you'll have games that will clash or practice. At the time they opened a new like AstroTurf facility up in Tacarigua. So the only time we could practice at night. So I would leave, I would go to practice from 7:30 to 9 and then rush up to Tacarigua for 9:30 to play till 10:30. So it did clash. There are times when there are some games I had to miss but I never missed choir. I never missed shows because that's different from, you know, hockey. There are always other people who could pick up, you know, so it was less difficult. But I think I enjoyed being in both. And both of them took me places, you know, with singing, being in Love Movement, we traveled. And so same thing with hockey. So it wasn't something and as I said, I liked being in a team sport, working with other people. So it just worked out, you know.
You said you joined Love Movement. About how old? Since it's like 40 years, you said. And
Yes.
as I said, you look 40. So, you know.
I see the compliment. Yeah, I joined straight out of secondary school. Sandra Hamilton, as I said, she was the one, you know, who sort of introduced me. I knew of the Love Movement because my neighbor, Louis Delmas, when his wife would be traveling, she was a flight attendant, he would be at rehearsals and I would babysit and then I would take them to shows. And the first show I think was at St. Mary's, and I think I just liked the fact that it was not just a stand-up choir. It was more entertainment, you know, like Broadway and things like that. And I think that's what attracted me to being in the Love Movement, that it wasn't just we sang. We did sing songs, you know, classical songs, but the pop songs is what attracted me to being in the choir.
If you hear this message, wherever you stand, I'm calling every woman, calling every man. We're the generation, we can't afford to wait. The future started yesterday, and we were already late. We've been looking for a song to sing, search for a melody, search for someone to lead. We've been looking for the world to change. If you feel the same, then go on and say, if you're out there, sing along with me. If you're out there, I'm dying to believe that you're out there. broken promises, no more calls to war, unless it's love and peace that we're really fighting for. Oh, we can destroy hunger, we can conquer hate, put down the arms and raise your voice, we join in hands today. Oh, I was looking for a song to sing, search for a leader, but the leader was me. We were looking for the world to change. We can be heroes, just go out and say if you're out there. Sing along with me if you're out there. I'm dying to believe that you're out there. Stand up and say it loud if you're out there. Tomorrow's starting now. Now, now. Oh, now, now, now. If you're ready, we can change the world. Believe again, it starts within. We don't have to wait for destiny, which should be the change that we want to see if you're out there. Oh, if you're out there and you're ready now, say it loud, scream it out if you're out there. Sing along with me if you're out there. I'm dying to believe that you're out there. Stand up and say it loud if you're out there. Tomorrow's starting now. Now, now. Oh, now, now, now. If you hear this message, wherever you stand, I'm calling every woman, calling every man. We're the generation, we can't afford to wait. The future started yesterday, and we're already late.
Yes, I was just thinking as you were saying that you are not just a singer, you are a performer.
Yes.
If you know anybody that sees you, you really do get into that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna make you out a little bit. On stage, you would have sang a solo, and it's only when you came off stage we found out that you might have forgotten the words. How do you do that? You know, on
Well-
stage when you know the fears or whatever.
Yeah. Well, it gets easier over time because, you know, the times you may have seen it may not have been the first time, but years of experience of this happening. Because I remember my first experience, we did The Dreamer, and my mic stopped working. In those days, we now started to use wireless mics, and my mic. So that kind of threw me off in rehearsing my lines. Because my wife keeps telling me, how you remember all those lines when I do narration? And I said, it just comes, I just learn it off. I'm good at regurgitating. And at that point, I just lost, I got confused, and I just started to make up things, but things that could relate to what I was singing. So sometimes that's what I will do. I will somehow make it work. And as Louis Delmas used to say, if you're doing crap, do it with confidence. Right? So I did it with confidence. So only people who may have known the song would say, well, how did you do it? So it's just a technique that you are able to do.
Yes,
but it's not
because
easy.
no, I can imagine. So that is why I always admired when you would come off and, some people might be laughing and they're saying, Chris McCarthy was like, what? Because you didn't show it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
really didn't show it. So what about, did you ever think about, one, becoming a professional singer, as in, not just quitting your job, but, going into it a little bit more
Yeah.
for...
Yeah, well, in 2013, I said, okay, let me see if I could venture out into that. Not still working, because, in the entertainment industry, it does not pay. And by then I had 3 children, and I said, okay, all right, let me do it. One, I wanted to just, like a bucket list. And I said, okay, maybe this will be the way of me launching into a more solo career. And I did a performance, so I had a show in the Little Carib. It did pretty well, I think. We had 3 shows, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And in the end, in terms of the experience was good. And in the end, I made a good profit. But most of it, I said I'm giving back. So I donated part of the proceeds to the Love Movement Youth Outreach. And my both parents passed away at the hospice, Living Waters Hospice, so I donated towards it. And just kept a small amount just to pay off the bills. And because I said, God has really given me a gift and I could use it. But it didn't move after that. And not by not trying, it's just that things happened. Because at the time when I did the show, I was in a job at the bank that I really didn't like. And I needed to focus on something. And that putting on the show helped me focus. But then when it finished, the year after, I went back into my regular position in public relations. And that itself takes a lot out of you. I guess maybe not enough marketing of it. Sometimes I feel maybe I'm not bold enough. On stage, yes, I can do it. But I keep telling people, I'm really shy. And they're like, you're right.
You're right.
Because sometimes, I guess it's confidence. You feel, yes, somebody will say you sound good, but you still feel in yourself, maybe I'm not that good. But when people tell me, they say, and the difference, and I guess is coming from being in Love Movement is singing with soul. I'm not the best singer. I don't claim to be, but I'm a performer, as you said. So that's what people see, and that's what entertains people on stage, a performance. Yes, you could be a great singer, which is a plus, but it's what they see in front of them and
what they feel and experience.
Because when I did my show, it wasn't just a stand-up solo. I even added in a little dance routine with one of the youth from the choir, Annalise, and then Fran Rastana, who was the choreographer in Love Movement choreographer, and she also helped me out, and so I had a lot of people who were supportive of me in bringing this show together. So I think it's always been rewarding in the end, looking back and seeing how far
So
it's
you've
gone.
never thought about giving it up at all? Split second?
Yeah. At times, yeah, because especially when it comes to rehearsals, it could be a little overwhelming sometimes. But there are 2 things I always look back on, because the Love Movement didn't just help me with my singing, it also helped me spiritually. And, because we would start with a prayer, end with prayer, we'll go on retreats. Everything was surrounded by that, When I first met Love Movement, they were more into pop, and we'll do some church songs, but then one year they decided doing focus into ministry. So I felt that was my calling also. So sometimes I will feel like, God, because tired, and I was like, when at the end of a show, see what has happened, the people we've touched in the choir and the youth who are in the choir, when you see what they've done, you're like, wow, this, you can't just give up this. And I think that's why I've been in the choir for many years. You know, I will say, yeah, I'm done. I'm not doing this again. And then I just go back, you know, because I feel God has called me, you know, to do His work by using my voice. And it feels so good when you meet, especially youth. Although, you know, you always feel like, God, these youth are giving so much trouble, especially the ones from the homes that we take in. But when years after, they could call you out your name or see you in public and say, I remember you. It's like, wait, no, it really did something good that they could actually, you know, kind of relate and come back. You know, so that's, for me, yes, I feel like sometimes it's too much, but then I just like, no, this is, I don't want to say the Hotel California joke, but it's not that. I always make a joke about it, but it's not like that where you could never leave. You know, as I said, God has called me into this ministry and it's important. And the people who have been a part of it and helped me is always, you know, top class.
And you just love singing.
And I just love singing. I love being on stage. Just tell me. And the thing about it is that, you know, you talk about being professional, being paid. A lot of the times I do charity work. You know, if somebody say, you can sing at a tea party, yes. And people say, why don't you charge? I was like, because I love being on stage. And especially when it's to minister to people, that makes it even more important to me in the end, that I'm doing God's work. You know, and I don't make it sound like it's a cliche, you know, but I really feel
it's fulfilling. It's
fulfilling because I've always been, you know, I was introduced into the charismatic renewal from young, very young, before even, you know, some of these communities were established, very small. And when I remember in Fatima College, I was in a group called a drama group, and Maureen Kelsick was our drama teacher. She was into Banyan and those things. And she joined Living Water community. And one year she came, okay, I'm not having drama, I'm doing a prayer group. And we were like, what? And a few of us made mock turd, draw kind of thing on our fairs, and we would end up being the first ones. And we did our Life in Spirit seminar in 1979 in Fatima, which was amazing. And then I just moved into the youth in Living Waters. So I consider Living Waters community as family to me, a second family.
The love movement, you talked about being there and they being your family and an inspiration, and you are still singing with them. You know, you cannot say the love movement without saying Auntie Bernadette, Auntie Bernadette Scott.
Yeah, Bernadette is a very special one and a very special person to me because, as I said, I joined when I was 18, 19. So the youth outreach program was not there, but I was one of the younger ones. And Bernadette was very inspiring for me, her singing alone, and then just being a part of, or being charge of a choir and having to take on responsibility. And she supported me every year, you know, in terms of, you know, people can say, oh, every concert you have a solo. I said, yes, because Bernadette sees the talent, and she encourages. She has worked with me, and you know, even our last year, you know, even at my age, I will still go and say, Bernadette, I have these 3 songs. Could you listen to this and give me some tips? Because the last telethon, that's what I did. So yeah, so she has always been there. I think she's part of my family. I don't call her Auntie B, but
I think that's
she's been Bernadette to me. Yes, but she's been like a mother to me. So sometimes I feel like a child still, but very inspired with the work she has done and what she's done for me. Because yes, Living Waters was I started there, but I think the majority of my time, which is almost 40 years, was in Love Movement. And the fact that, you know, Bernard will arrange retreats and, you know, things to follow the God's leading. You know, the fact that we moved from, you know, just a pop group to move into more spiritual ministry work is what I can't even come to terms what God has used her as the instrument to bring me even closer to God.
Very nice.
Walking on the road to Jerusalem, time had come to sacrifice again. My two small sons, they walked beside me on the road. The reason that they came was to watch the Lamb. Daddy, Daddy, what will we see there? There's so much that we don't understand. So I told them of Moses and Father Abraham. Then I said, dear children, watch the Lamb. There will be so many in Jerusalem today. We must be sure the Lamb doesn't run away. So I told them of Moses and Father Abraham. Then I said, dear children, watch the Lamb. When we reached the city, I knew something must be wrong. There were no joyful worshipers, no joyful worship songs. I stood there with my children in the midst of angry men. Then I heard the crowd cry out, crucify him! We tried to leave the city, but we could not get away. Forced to play in this drama, a part I did not wish to play. Why upon this day were men condemned to die? Why were we standing here when soon they would pass by? I looked and said, even now they come. The first one cried for mercy, the people gave him none. The second one was violent, he was arrogant and loud. I still can hear his angry voice screaming at the crowd. Then someone said, there's Jesus. I can't believe my eyes. A man so badly beaten, he barely looked alive. Blood poured from his body, from the thorns upon his brow, running down the cross and falling to the ground. I watched him as he struggled. I watched him as he fell.